But welcome back to Monday Night Live training with Coach Michelle. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've done this. Our first master class of 2026, continuing on with our peptide series because these are something I have grown to be actually quite passionate about. And the more that I'm learning about them, the more excited I am about them. If you guys saw my Instagram and Facebook posts today, I put the new stack that I am starting. Yes, it's 12 days into 2026, but this is when my last stack ended yesterday, so my new stack starts today. And I am just constantly, experimenting and trying out different things to see how my body is going to respond to them, whether it's positive or negative, because of course I want to be as understanding as possible personally about these peptides before I have discussions with clients or potential clients or friends or family or whoever, and potentially make recommendations for something that may or may not help them. It's a discussion, but I want to have personal knowledge of these things, and I am not going to recommend things for anybody that I am not comfortable using on myself. So that's why I talk about peptides as much as I do now, because number one, they're fascinating. And if you've been watching this peptide series, you've learned hopefully quite a bit about the various peptides that are out there. We've gone through the healing peptides, which we didn't go through all of them because I could probably do 3 months of videos alone with the healing peptides, the sheer number of them that are out there. But tonight we're going to focus on fat burning peptides, what they are, how they work, and who is an ideal candidate to utilize fat burning peptides. So something to understand is that most people actually don't have a fat burning problem. They actually have basically like a metabolic signaling issue. If fat loss feels harder than it used to be, you're eating well, you're moving your body, you're getting good sleep, but you're still stuck. You feel just off, inflamed, exhausted, or you feel like your body is literally just resisting progressing as you're wanting it to, as you are kind of pushing it to. This isn't a willpower thing. It's not an issue of you're not doing things hard enough. You're not doing things, you know, consistent enough for the most part. And so that's why tonight we're going to talk about fat burning peptides. And one thing I want you to understand is these are not shortcuts. They're not magic. I love to call peptides snake oil, right? People say peptides are snake oil, but these are tools that improve the signals that your body needs to let go of fat. It's going to tell the body, hey, this stuff that you've been holding on to, we can go ahead and let it go. We don't need to hold on to it in our bodies. And for anybody who has been doing some sort of a weight loss program or changed their way of eating, completely upheaved their lifestyle, like I did starting in 2020, sometimes we just get to a point where our bodies are like, nope, I'm not letting go of anything anymore. And that is probably the most frustrating thing of this journey, especially when you are doing all of the right things and you think that you should be seeing the progress and you're not. And with so many people, they get discouraged if they don't have that big why in their heads, and that leads to people then slipping off of whatever plan it is that they're doing because it's just out of sheer frustration. So my normal disclaimer, this class is for educational purposes only. I am not diagnosing anybody. I am not prescribing anything. I am not recommending in a professional capacity any of these peptides. My goal is to help you to understand why fat loss can get harder for us and how peptides can then fit into a bigger and better metabolic strategy for us when we're going through something like this. So, one of the biggest mistakes people make, and I talk about this very frequently, is confusing weight loss with fat loss. They are two very different things, right? The scale is going to reflect water that our body is holding on to. It's going to reflect inflammation that we are experiencing. It's going to reflect glycogen. It's going to reflect food volume, including stool that we may have in our bodies still. And it may also reflect stress and poor sleep, because those are huge portions and huge parts of what can cause the scale to go up or down in a matter of hours even. Whereas fat loss is hormonal. So stress, inflammation, glycogen, food, the water, etc., is going to reflect on the scale. Fat loss is actually something that's hormonal. So you can lose weight and not lose fat. That happens to people all the time. When we first start a diet or we change our way of eating, we get that whoosh effect that happens, right? People will lose 5-10 pounds of weight in the first week. And then they continue on, and guess what? It starts to tick down, right? Tick down, tick down, tick down. You know, your body can be burning fat, but the scale's not moving. We know how that can happen, right? If we're strength training. Or our bodies will stall. It will refuse to let go of any fat because it feels unsafe doing so. Well, why would that happen? Well, what kinds of things do you think will block our fat loss? Chronic stress. Number one is going to be chronic stress. Poor sleep. Insulin resistance. Undereating. Overtraining. Losing muscle. Experiencing muscle loss. Inflammation, of course. And then hormonal shifts, perimenopause, menopause, so on and so forth, PCOS, people that experience that. Fat-burning peptides are not going to override those things, but they will work with them. Interesting, right? So, what are peptides? Again, my little lecture in every single class. Peptides are short chains of amino acids that our body already has inside of them. It's already producing them, and they act as messengers. They're not forcing your body to do anything. They are sending signals saying, hey, hello, wake up. We need to do this if our body is a little bit sluggish doing what it normally does. So if you think about it in this way, stimulants push your body to do something. Okay? Hormones replace something that might be missing, and peptides communicate with our bodies. So with regards to fat loss, peptides can improve insulin signaling. You hear that a lot with several different popular peptides that are out there right now, specifically GLPs, right? They can support mitochondrial function. We have discussed that in prior classes. They can help to reduce inflammation. A lot of them help to reduce inflammation. They can help to preserve muscle. They can improve our metabolic flexibility, which is a beautiful thing, and also reduce food noise, right? But they are only going to be truly successful if the foundation is there that needs to be there. That is a very important aspect of this entire conversation with regards to peptides. Peptides are not going to replace the habits and the lifestyle that you need to have in place. It's just going to add on and make that success more feasible. So here we go with our big list of fat burning and metabolic peptides that we're going to cover tonight. So the first one we're going to talk about is AOD 9604. That impacts direct fat breakdown. So AOD 9604 is a fragment of a growth hormone, which is released by our pituitary, and it's focused specifically on fat metabolism. So people oftentimes who are going to have surgeries and they have to get off of their GLPs specifically will switch to AOD 9604 because it's commonly used and I guess you can say discussed for supporting continued fat breakdown, reducing fat storage signaling, telling your body, hey, you can let go of this, you don't need to hold on to it, and also targeting stubborn fat. So why do people who have to get off of their GLPs replace it with this particular peptide? Well, it does not suppress your appetite. It is not slowing your gastric motility. It does not raise blood sugar, and it does not impact muscle. So AOD 9604 is often discussed with people who eat adequate amounts, are training consistently, and have stalled despite doing everything right. AOD helps with fat signaling, not with hunger. That's where this particular peptide and GLPs differ, but some people will use them in lieu of each other if they're unable to utilize one or the other, or they cycle them. The next one is going to be MOTS-C, which we talked about before Christmas. MOTS-C is a mitochondrial-derived peptide, and why does that matter? Well, because the mitochondria is energy production, right? But poor mitochondrial function is going to end up with resulting in metabolic resistance. So as we talked about before in the MOTS-C class, it is discussed with people for improving insulin sensitivity, which is obviously a big thing. We want to improve sensitivity. We want to get rid of that insulin resistance that we may be experiencing. It's going to support AMPK activation. It'll help your body learn when it's okay to go between carbs and fats. It helps with that metabolic flexibility. And it will also improve energy and assist with exercise tolerance. And this particular peptide, the MOTS-C, is especially relevant for women like myself who are midlife, who are perimenopausal, approaching that change in life, that new chapter that we end up going into as we age, and things just kind of start to get a little bit wonky in our bodies. So that one, again, the MOTS-C. MODGRF 129 plus ipamorelin. They're two totally separate peptides, but they are almost always used together because one is a growth hormone, or it's their growth hormone optimization, I should say. MODGRF signals a growth hormone release. Ipamorelin enhances that pulse. So the MODGRF is saying, hey, we need to release this growth hormone, and ipamorelin keeps it pulsing like it should be. So that's why they are utilized together. They're basically encouraging your body to produce its own growth hormone in a more natural way, keeping it flowing, keeping it like a pulsing type of a fashion. So why does growth hormone matter for fat loss? Well, because It's going to support fat breakdown. This isn't us talking about injecting GHG into our bodies. This is stimulating the pituitary gland to release something it's already supposed to release. So it will support fat breakdown. It's going to preserve muscle, obviously, right? It's going to help improve your recovery, and it also helps sleep quality. Again, these are not HGH injections. These are not human growth hormone injections. It is something that's optimizing natural signaling. So a lot of people who will utilize this particular stack, it's not just males or females specifically, people who are looking for body recomposition, not people who are looking for rapid fat loss. These are people who are wanting to improve recomp. They've hit certain goals with regards to their fat loss, and this is going to kind of take them to the next step. So again, that is MOD-GRF 129 and ipamorelin together. GLP-1s. Yes, I am talking about GLP-1s for fat loss, specifically microdosing them because they support metabolic but also behavioral changes, right? The GLP-1s are very misunderstood. We know that there's a lot of fear-mongering out there about them. We know that there's misinformation out there about them. We know that there's a lot of improper use being done with regards to GLPs. I see it all over the internet. I see it in Facebook groups. I see it on TikTok. I see the madness, and it just adds on to the narrative that is spewed by so many who are against GLP-1 use. But they're just misunderstood. They don't just reduce your appetite. That's what everybody is. Oh, it's just an appetite suppressant. You're starving yourself. That's why you're losing weight. You're not eating. They are amazing for improving insulin signaling. So many of my clients who are using these GLP-1s have had significant improvement in their insulin sensitivity. Their insulin resistance is disappearing. It will also help reduce inflammation. It happened with me personally. That perimenopause hip that I had going on for years, gone. It'll improve metabolic consistency. And then the biggest factor I've seen in so many of my clients as well personally is it reduces that food noise. You know, yes, there are certain ways of eating that are going to satiate you. They're going to make it easier for you to lose fat. But the claims that eating a specific type of diet is going to turn off food noise is absolute nonsense. I did keto, I did carnivore, I did lion diet. I posted on my memory the other day. I made it, 8 days on the lion diet? And I said, nope, I'm done with this. Because my body and my brain obsessed about food when I was doing lion diet. The more I restricted, the worse the noise got. But that's not supposed to happen. But it does. And I'm here to say it to the internet, in the interwebs, it does happen. But microdosing a GLP focuses on lower doses, significantly lower doses than what is even the recommended starting dose for most of these medications. And maybe hitting that dose 6 months down the line, if you ever do. Preserving your hunger cues. It's going to help you to realize what actual hunger is as opposed to head hunger telling you, hey, we need to eat, or you see what time it is and it's lunchtime. Hey, it's time for us to eat because the clock says it's time for us to eat. So it's preserving those hunger cues. It's going to help support consistency in the way of eating that you're trying to be successful at. And it will prevent muscle loss. Microdosing a GLP-1 will prevent muscle loss when you pair it with strength training. That is one of those non-negotiables for me with the people that I'm coaching who are using GLP-1s. If you are utilizing a GLP, you are strength training, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to strength train. Whether you're a beginner and you're doing body weight, or you're working out at home with bands and dumbbells, or you're able to get into the gym and do the barbells, the machines, everything else, it is a non-negotiable that you have to be strength training when you're utilizing these meds, when you're being coached by me. But the microdosing, the benefits you get from the microdosing are especially useful for people who have emotional eating patterns, insulin resistance, struggling with PCOS, dealing with diet fatigue, all of the above. That was all me. Dealing with hormone fluctuations, preventing your body from releasing things. Those are some things that microdosing GLP-1s can help with. As you guys saw, I posted today, I am starting a brand new GLP, GIP, glucagon, starting tomorrow. And I will do my 6-month experiment on that and give you guys information on that as well. So yes, see, again, I'm utilizing these things so I know what they're doing to my body so that I can have a better conversation with all of you if you're interested and you have questions about these things. All right, this is one I always mess up the name because I try to say it too fast. Cagrilintide. There we go. It's an advanced satiety and craving regulator in our bodies. Cagrilintide works on the amylin pathway where GLP-1 medications work on the GLP-1 pathway. Totally different things. It is talked about for satiety signaling. I see very well-known social media people, experts, doctors, coaches, whatnot, talk about eating until you are comfortably stuffed, eating until you are full. How many of you, even changing your way of eating, eating nothing but meat and eggs, still had an issue with your brain telling you, hey, stupid, we're full, stop eating? I did. I am the person who gained weight on carnivore because my disordered eating brain didn't know, hey, okay, I'm full, stop eating, because damn, this tastes good, let's keep eating it. So cagrilintide works to help the satiety signaling actually work again. It's going to help you with your portion control. If you are eating massive amounts of food at one sitting, whether you're doing it just for pictures on Instagram or you're doing it because other people are doing it, don't make the same mistakes I made, because that's the stupid stuff I did. It will help with craving reduction. It's going to regulate that food reward center that's in our brain. And most frequently, it is paired with a GLP of some sort. So the GLP is going to help with, insulin and appetite, and the cagrilintide is going to basically signal fullness and our reward. Like, oh, okay, look, we're good. We don't need any more of this. We are satisfied. We are happy. It's good. Utilizing that peptide on its own, the cagrilintide, or stacking it with a GLP is basically about behavioral modification or regulation and not starvation. We're not looking to starve ourselves to drop weight. Let me see here. The last one I am going to talk about is going to be MIC, which is frequently referred to as lipo-B. which will help with fat metabolism as well as liver support. Again, if you saw my photo, Lipo-B is one of the items on my stack coming up. This will be my third cycle on Lipo-B because it's working that well with my body. Why did I bring up liver health? Well, because fat loss is not going to happen efficiently if the liver cannot properly process fat. People who have fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NASH, their livers are so damaged they're not processing fat properly. And if you don't have a gallbladder like some other people, it's also an issue with trying to reduce fat in your body. So MIC refers to methionine, inositol, and choline. And then there's also some sort of a B vitamin compounded into it as well, hence the Lipo-B, because it's those three, the MIC plus B vitamins. So this particular peptide is used for supporting liver fat metabolism, mobilizing stored fat, stubborn fat that will not leave your body no matter what you do. Again, reducing diet fatigue, and then also supporting energy. MIC is a support peptide, but it's often the missing piece in stalled fat loss. So, like I said, this has been a game changer for me personally to get fat off of certain areas of my body where I haven't been able to burn them off. And specifically my midsection, which is resulting in me having an even worse apron belly at this point, which is going to end up requiring some sort of plastic surgery if I want it to go away. But that is an area, even after I had weight loss surgery, that would not go down. That was an area that would not burn off. It wasn't here, you know, around my organs. It was that lower body, that lower belly that had been stretched out for all of these years, and the fat just kind of sat in there. And that's been a game changer with me fixing that area of my body. But then, you know, catch 22, my apron belly is so much worse now. So let's talk about why fat burning peptides may fail. Because again, these aren't magic. They're not something that's going to cure everybody. They're not going to help everybody. Fat burning peptides will fail if the protein you are consuming is too low. If you're not eating sufficient protein, these aren't going to work. If your muscle is not prioritized, these fat burning peptides probably are not going to work. If you have ridiculously high stress, if your sleep is garbage, if your caloric intake is too low, or inflammation in your body isn't addressed. What did I say at the very beginning of this class? Your body, if it feels unsafe, is not going to let go of fat. It won't release it, even utilizing peptides. You cannot out-peptide your way from metabolic chaos happening within your body. Peptides are simply going to amplify what your lifestyle already supports. Again, foundations are critical with these particular things. So let's talk a little bit about some common stacks that people will use. We already talked about the one when we went over the ipamorelin and the MOD-GRF. That's a common stack, which is why I talked about the two of them together. For foundational metabolic support, a a common stack is MOTS C, MIC, and then also strength training. Yep, it's not just all about peptides with these guys. For stubborn fat loss or focus on specific areas that you just can't get rid of the fat, you can look at the AOD 9604, MOTS C, and MIC. Now, I do have AOD 9604 and MOTS C in my fridge currently, not reconstituted yet, that I am going to implement on my next cycle. So once I get through this one that I'm starting today, I will start another cycle of peptides in April, and those will be a part of that. For body recomp purposes, the MOD-GRF 129, the ipamorelin, that combo that we talked about, as well as AOD 9604. And that's for people who are looking for, again, body recomp. Metabolic and behavioral stacks are going to be a microdose of a GLP, whether it's a GLP-1, a GLP-1 GIP, so semaglutide, tirzepatide, or if you're able to get access to retatrutide, which is a triple agonist, MOTS C and MIC. So GLP-1 microdose, MOTS C and MIC. Advanced appetite regulation will be a GLP, GIP microdose, and then the cagrilinotide. Remember, those work hand in hand. Amylin pathway, GLP-1 pathway. Recovery and fat loss, specifically for midlife women, because we're blessed with this midlife change, right? Men don't have to go through the things that we have to go through in this stage of our life. So this is actually a heftier stack, and it's going to be the MOD-GRF 129, ipamorelin, remember the two of them are usually together, MOTS C, NAD+, which is on my stack that I'll be using, and sleep optimization. We want to rein in our sleep in order to have recovery and fat loss during our midlife more successful. Now, I'm not giving you any dosing instructions with any of these things. This is just educational information for you guys to go back, listen to, and look into or discuss with a provider, a coach, whoever, about potentially implementing this into your routine, and you can go from there. So these particular fat-burning peptides, again, tools, these are tools, are generally looked at by people who are dealing with stalled fat loss, insulin resistance, even with dietary changes. Women who are experiencing perimenopause, the blessing that is. Metabolic adaptation, chronic inflammation, and muscle loss due to dieting, due to not consuming enough, not to having enough protein, not to, let's not lose our muscle, guys. These particular peptides, these fat-burning peptides, are not for people who are looking for a shortcut. These peptides are not shortcuts. They are another tool to have in our belt to utilize when we need to utilize them. So if you're looking for a shortcut, these aren't it, because you have to do additional work on top of it. These won't be for people who are chronically under eating. So if you are consuming 800 calories a day, if you're consuming 1,000 calories a day, you need to eat more, because your body is like, we're not letting any of this go. We're holding on to it because she's not feeding us enough. They won't be for people who are avoiding strength training. Plain and simple. You need to lift the heavy things, whether it be your body weight or you go to the gym. And then they're not going to be for people who are not willing to address sleep and stress. Because guess what? If you're not willing to change these things, you're going to be wasting your money. They're not shortcuts. You have to have those foundations and then bring in these extra tools to help you get the success that you've been trying so hard to get without stressing yourself out even more. So fat loss, for the most part, is not about trying harder. It's about getting our body the right signals. So fat burning peptides are not going to burn fat for you. They're going to improve the communication that allows your body to free itself, to let go of it. When your metabolism is properly supported, when your muscle is protected, when inflammation is lowered, which is why healing peptides are, again, usually the first thing you want to do, because we need to reduce that inflammation. We need to calm things down in our bodies. And also when stress is managed properly. Fat loss will become possible again when you get those factors under control. You're not trapped with this fat on your body for the rest of your lives. So, all right, let's see if we've got any questions over here. I'm going to check both. Okay. Julie said, when taking them, can it change your blood work? Absolutely. You want to get labs done on a fairly regular basis when you're using any sort of peptides, because you want to be able, number one, you want a baseline of where you're at before you start utilizing them. And then you want to check every quarter or so to see, okay, what changes are happening metabolically, what changes are happening hormonally, what changes are happening with my lipids, what changes are happening within my body, because all of these different peptides can impact different areas of your labs, generally for the better. We will get into other types of peptides that can help other areas of labs. But I will say personally, when I started a GLP-1, which was semaglutide, I had triglycerides that were still in, I think they were 179. My triglycerides like to hover in, the 170s up to, I mean, when I started this in 2020, they were like 360 something. So for them to have gone from 360 whatever down to 170, pretty good, but they never went below that. They would fluctuate about 15 points depending on when I got my labs done. Starting a GLP, the first round of labs I had done 3 months into it, my triglycerides had dropped down to 127. Now, I still have to get my labs done this month. I did not do labs, unfortunately, beyond July of last year. So I need to get them redone and see where I'm at now, having gone an additional, 6 months with semaglutide, 6 months with the tirzepatide, and also adding in additional peptides. But there are some other peptides that are specific for lipid health that we will also get into down the road as we continue on with this peptide series, because again, there are some fascinating things for people, and for individuals who may deal with hypercholesteremia, like I do. I have a familial history of that. I have a familial history of hemochromatosis. So my doctor watches specific numbers on me very carefully because of the likelihood that I, could have some issues down the line. But my triglycerides are lower than they've ever been in my adult life, at least as of last summer, they were. So I will get updated labs done. I will post that information so that you guys can see it and the fluctuations that happen within my body. And if you do it yourself as well, I know I have clients who send me their labs. I have clients that send me their DEXA scans and things like that. If you guys either are okay with me sharing that information or you want to share it yourself, please do, and let people know what it is that you're taking so that they can understand what it's doing to your particular body. And, then we can see if it's something that would potentially work out to benefit you as well. So that's a great question, Julie. All right. So, all right. Well, I don't see any other questions in here. We have gone for about 45 minutes tonight, which is longer than what we have been doing in the past. So, if you are watching this replay, please let me know that you're watching the replay. And again, let me know, if you've got questions after watching the replay, do you have, what part of fat loss feels just impossible or the hardest for you right now? And what would you like to understand better about improving your metabolism? Or just learn about your metabolism, period. I'd love to know that so that I can help you guys out going forward with these classes in the future. As I said in my goal setting live a few weeks ago, my biggest goal for 2025 was to be consistent with doing live trainings in this group, which I think I nailed it about 85% of the year. I did a Monday masterclass. If I was traveling or if I wasn't feeling well or if it was a holiday, I wouldn't do a class. But for the most part, I did pretty good. And I'm going to keep that consistency going through 2026 so that I make sure I am giving you guys important information. I'm educating you on things that you might want to know. I'm answering questions, and I'm also giving my own personal experience of what is happening with my body going along in this peptide journey myself. So thank you everybody so much for joining me tonight, and I will see you next week. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day next Monday, but I will be doing a live, and I'm probably going to be focusing more on muscle building and recovery peptides in that class. So if that's something that's interesting to you, or people who may benefit from it, let them know, invite them to the group, send them the invite for the event, and let them get some more information and have questions answered that they may have. Okay? I'll see everybody next week. Bye.